John chapter 13, verses 4 to 15. Jesus got up from the table, took off his outer robe, and tied a towel around himself. Then he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel that was tied around him. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus answered, "You do not know now what I am doing, but later you will understand." Peter said to him, "You will never wash my feet." Jesus answered, "Unless I wash you, you have no share with me." Simon Peter said to him, "Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head." Jesus said to him, "One who has bathed does not need to wash, except for the feet, but is entirely clean. And you are all clean, though not all of you." For he knew who was to betray him. For this reason he said, "Not all of you are clean." After he had washed their feet, had put on his robe, and had returned to the table, he said to them, "Do you know what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, for this is what I am. So if I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have set you an example, that you also should do as I have done to you."
There's this American president, I didn't Google which one it was, who is often quoted for having said, "Do not ask what your country can do for you, but rather ask what you can do for your country." In the current situation of the COVID-19 pandemic, there's plenty of both. There are people who definitely need help from their country. Individuals worried about paying their bills, businesses having trouble staying afloat, people at risk or ill people who need solidarity and a functioning healthcare system. But at the same time, there are plenty of people who are doing something for their country and for their society. People who produce homemade protection masks, who go shopping for their elderly neighbor, or who make a phone call to someone who's lonely. It is this second attitude that corresponds to the end of today's Bible text. Jesus tells his disciples, "You ought to wash one another's feet." It's as if he's telling them, support one another. Or in stronger words, be servants to one another. Love one another. But I think there's more to be discovered in today's text than just a call for mutual help and solidarity. Before asking his disciples to wash one another's feet, Jesus washes their feet. It is this reversal of roles that probably troubles Peter. Instead of having Jesus wash his feet, he might have much rather accepted washing Jesus' feet. Peter might have been quite happy to do something for Jesus. But it is Jesus who wants to do something for him. In a time of crisis, each one of us has his or her own coping mechanisms. Some of us, we immediately ask ourselves, what should I be doing right now? What do I need to do in order to adapt to this new situation? And how can I help others to go through these difficult times? And in many ways, that's a useful and even necessary question. For some Christians, concrete signs of solidarity may even be a way of doing something for Jesus. But echoing the words of the American president, I am tempted to say, maybe today's text invites us to not only ask what we can do for Jesus, but to also ask what Jesus can do for us. But that's when things get tricky. We know quite well what we would want Jesus to do. Make the virus disappear. Heal people. Let things be normal again. But we know that probably this is not going to happen immediately. For Peter too, what Jesus does and doesn't do didn't fulfill his expectations. Jesus had been talking about the kingdom of God throughout his lifetime, and for Peter that implied real and concrete change in the world. Jesus washing people's feet and ultimately getting himself killed didn't solve any of the problems Peter saw around himself. It is a symbolic gesture that falls short of any strategic plan of action. It doesn't seem very useful. But Jesus tells Peter, accept that this is how I want to be close to you today. But this raises another difficulty. This sign of washing somebody's feet implies a lack of distance that might make one feel uncomfortable or awkward, even in times that are not calling for social distancing. Accepting somebody's presence and signs of attention means letting this person get close enough to know our needs and our fragility. In a similar way, in a moment of silence or prayer, we can give room to our joys and our hope, but also to our worry and our loneliness. This may sometimes feel strange or awkward because we don't quite know what we are doing. But letting Jesus get in touch with the reality of our lives, we might realize, even when we are alone in the places where we live, Jesus does not distance himself. He wants to be close to us. So while it is good and necessary that we ask ourselves, what can I do today to adapt to the situation and to help others to the best of my ability? Maybe every now and then, let's also take a moment, everybody in their own way, to stop and ask Jesus, what is it today that you want to do for me? What follows will not always be a solution to our immediate problems. It may feel strange at times, but we might also be positively surprised by some of these moments.